Currently, right now, I've been dealing with a situation, my family and I. The mother of my children is currently dealing with brain cancer.
So sorry.
Due to the workload that I'm presenting, it's difficult for me to be in so many places at one time. She and I have 4 children together, 7 children total. It's taken a toll on the kids. It's definitely taken a toll on me. But of course, we're all New Yorkers. We're going to push through. It would help if I did have a little bit of extra time at the job where I didn't have to feel a little bit guilty as if I could possibly lose my job by trying not to lose a life and a family.
Yeah. This is a man with schizophrenia. This is a man who is clearly going through a mental health crisis. And to respond to that with criminalization, it looks past the reality, which is that Jabez needs mental health treatment.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry.
I'm sorry, but thank you for the package.
I didn't do that. I didn't do that.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm sorry, but thank you. Mayor.
How's it going? How you doing? Hello, everyone. How y'all doing? Hello. Walaikum salam. Ramadan Kareem. Walaikum salam. Thank you very much. How you doing, sir? How you doing, brother? Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
How's it going?
Morning, sir.
How's it going, boss?
Oh,
thank you very much. Appreciate it. How you doing, boss? How are you?
Thank you for coming on your fasting.
Absolutely, brother. Yes.
Morning.
Morning. How are you? How you doing? How are you? Well, it is such a pleasure to be here. How you doing, my brother? How are you? It's good to see you, man. It's good to see you. It's a real pleasure to be here alongside Councilmember Nurse, our Commissioner Levine. And I wanted to just say thank you all for having us, and also thank you to Angelos for having us here. This is really an opportunity for us to both get a sense from all of you as to what it has looked like to organize as workers on the job, and also to celebrate Councilmember Nurse's legislation coming into fruition this Sunday, which is legislation that will expand what workers can use paid time off for in our city. We'll expand it such that a worker can use paid time off to take care of a child or a loved one with a disability, to respond to a natural disaster, workplace violence, to even go to legal benefits hearings to ensure that they don't have to choose between their lives and their livelihood. And what the legislation also does from Councilmember Nurse is that it ensures that every worker in New York City gets 32 hours of unpaid leave from the beginning of the year and the beginning of their job. Because far too often being forced to accrue that over the course of the year means you're forced into impossible decisions. And so it's really a pleasure to be here alongside our council member and alongside our DCWP commissioner, who will be charged with doing much of the enforcement around this legislation to ensure that so many New Yorkers who have these rights know that they can use these rights without actually facing any kind of repercussions or repression. Because we know far too often a right is only as good as whether it can actually be exercised, and too many workers do not feel that they can actually exercise it. So it's a real pleasure to be here, and I'll just pass it over to our commissioner.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I think this is our 7th appearance together, and this is another reminder. We have the most pro-consumer, pro-worker mayor in the history of New York City. Today we have another historic announcement to deliver greater rights, greater dignity to workers in New York City. And what this law, which Councilmember Nurse so heroically championed, does is it really recognizes that life happens. Workers need predictability. Maybe your school closes unexpectedly, maybe childcare falls through, maybe there's a snowstorm or a power outage. The goal of this law is to recognize that reality and make sure workers can take the time off they need to take care of their family, to take care of their loved ones, and to eventually to get back to work. In addition to celebrating the passage of this law, which takes effect on Sunday, DCWP, the agency I lead, is also launching an enforcement blitz today. We have sent notices to 56,000 employers across New York City, making clear that they, starting Sunday, need to follow this law. And if they do not, we will be prepared to hold them accountable to make sure that these rights actually are delivered for New York City's workers. In addition to the enforcement blitz we're launching today, DCWP is releasing a groundbreaking report on how we can ensure that workers can actually realize the promise of protected time off. Our report shows that workers in every industry, every job, every background, they use sick leave. So when we see workplaces where almost no one is taking protected time off, that is a red flag. So I am encouraging workers, go to our website, check out the tools, audit whether your workers are actually taking advantage of sick leave. Because I have news for people. If you don't audit, we're going to be auditing ourselves. And if we find that workers at certain employers are not taking sick leave, are not taking protected time off, that is a red flag that the law is not being followed, and it's something we intend to fix. So I want to thank the mayor for joining us. This is a historic announcement. And now I want to pass it on to a real hero for this occasion, Councilmember Sandy Nurse, who's been such a steadfast champion.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And good morning to the Teamsters. Thank you all for being here. Yeah, Teamsters.
Who are we? Teamsters. Who are we? Teamsters.
Celebrating you all, standing with you all. Want to thank the mayor and the DCWP commissioner for supporting this, and to thank DCWP. There's a lot of DCWP staff here who really did the legwork on this, but I mean, the legislation here is really simple, right? Life happens, things come up. The sitter calls out, your mom's sick, your kid's sick, your dog's sick. All things can happen at once, and you need to use the time off. And like the mayor said and the commissioner said, especially at the start of the year or when you're starting a new job, you don't always have time accrued to use that time off, and we want to make sure that people can address things in their life that come up. A lot of people have things like they got to go to housing court, or your SNAP benefits haven't been recertified, and now you got to go down to HRA and spend 3 hours waiting in line, right? Those are issues that happen to everybody, and you shouldn't have to face retaliation for that. You should be able to go handle your business, take care of people who depend on you, and keep your job. And it's really that simple. So this is really building on the work that Gail Brewer did, Councilmember Brewer, who actually did the first paid sick leave. We're just giving over 3 million workers will get an additional 32 hours. And so we're just really grateful that we got to work on this together. Looking forward to doing a lot more. And thank you to all the lawyers and the staff members behind the scenes who worked on this. And thank you to you all for standing up for your rights and for your needs in your workplace.
And, you know, I think that the council member said it best in the impossible choices that workers are forced to make. And sometimes it's at a moment's notice. And we would all love to get a sense from all of you as to what this has looked like in your own lives, of whether you've been forced into a choice between your livelihood and your life and the pressures between work and life coming all together at once. And even just to reflect on what has looked like as workers organizing in this moment, what kind of challenges you faced. So feel free if there's anyone who'd like to share.
Yes, I think it's about time. We need this for a long time. For me, my wife, she was pregnant. She faces a lot of difficult inside the building. So this is about time. If we have that bill at the time, I think it's going to help us, me and my wife, my new kids, childcare. Sometimes I have to be there for her, and I have no time to go to help her, like take her to ER sometimes, to the doctor. And I think it's about time. It's not too late, but thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Very well. Thank you, brother. And you were going to add something.
How you doing? My name is James. Currently, right now, I've been dealing with a situation, my family and I. The mother of my children is currently dealing with brain cancer.
So sorry.
Due to the workload that I'm presenting, it's difficult for me to be in so many places at one time. She and I have 4 children together, 7 children total. It's taken a toll on the kids. It's definitely taken a toll on me. But of course, we're all New Yorkers. We're going to push through. It would help if I did have a little bit of extra time at the job where I didn't have to feel a little bit guilty as if I could possibly lose my job by trying not to lose a life and a family.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys being here to hear us, and this is important to us all. And you know, it's about time for the change.
Thank
That's
you.
it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing, my brother. Thank you. Feel free, yeah, please.
Brother, I just want to say our thoughts and prayers with your wife and supporting your way. Just please let us know. And unfortunately, we hear so many stories like this young man right here at JFK and other Amazon warehouses struggling with family members' needs and with children with disabilities and no parents that, you know, also have health problems. This would be really huge for the working class and especially for Amazon workers and especially for single parents. And I fall into that category where I'm in a generation where I'm taking care of children and my parents. So there's so much on my plate, and you know, the working class is the backbone of New York City. We deserve to be able to take care of our families, to be able to take care of our health. So I really appreciate you all pushing through this. It means a lot to all of us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hello, thank you for having us here. My name is Anthony. I'm from JFK Staten. The bill itself, I needed this bill to be in effect from 2 years ago.
Sorry. It takes a while to get a bill through the process.
I literally broke my foot on the job, and there, it was just well, I have ibuprofen, sit down for 10 minutes and go back to work. And I didn't know it was broke, and then when I tried to get the time to order the doctors and everything else, they were like, okay, if you do that, then your UPT is about to expire. Threatening my job, basically. And I'm just one of literally thousands that have something similar or far worse. The gentleman here and everything else. The introduction of this bill is the perfect time, and I want to thank you everybody here. And hopefully that these guys will comply. And if they don't,
We'll make them.
Yeah.
We're going to make sure they comply.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. I'm Michael LeBron, another JFK 8 worker. I love this bill, and I'm going to tell you why. I'll be honest with you. I'm a single parent also with 2 children with mental disabilities, and I try to take a leave of absence before because my son had to go to the hospital. And they told me, do you got PTO? I told them no, but then you can't go. But if you do, like you said, UPT, you get provided. I recently found out I don't have no more state insurance. So I got a nodule in my lung that needs to get removed. And I told HR, like, I need to take care of my health to take care of my family. Same thing. You got PTO? No, you can't go. You know what I'm saying? So I think this bill, not only for myself, but for all of us here, will be beneficial, because sometimes things happen in a second. And we need this time to actually take care of our family. You know what I'm saying? So thank you for the bill. I appreciate everybody.
Thank you.
My name's Jordan. I'm from DBK4, formerly from DBK4, right down the block here, where, in fact, this is where we organized for our first march. We grouped up here and then we marched over there.
Yeah.
Made a nice impression back then. I'm wondering, I've been blessed. I haven't had that much personal problems with this myself, but working for a DSP is complicated. You have all these small entrepreneurial, loosely run organizations, and every one of them tries to apply different policies in different ways. Some of them want you to call in the day before, some of them won't honor anything unless you call in or arrange a week or 2 weeks before, and a lot of them, including ours, had a problem with if you had an emergency situation in the morning and you needed to cancel your shift, it was a real problem. And if they didn't think that it was justified, whoever figures out what justification really means, then they had the audacity at times to then cancel the rest of your work week or cancel days, so you will go down from 40 hours to 20 hours in a hurry. And I'm just wondering how enforcement can attack that when you have all these small entrepreneurial operators and you know Amazon has set it up in such a way that it's difficult. It's very difficult.
You know, I think I'll just say one of the reasons I'm so excited to be here also alongside our commissioner is that too often we have extraordinary pieces of legislation that are crafted by council members like Councilmember Nurse. They're voted on, they're passed, and then they're not actually implemented. There's a sense still of impunity amongst a number of employers around these kinds of rights and rules. And in order to ensure that workers can exercise these rights, we have to have an entity that holds employers accountable if they're violating these rights. And so what I really appreciate about DCWP, as the commissioner said, they're not just sending out 56,000 notices to 56,000 employers today and over the next few days. What they're also going to be doing as a result of their own report is studying the use of paid time off at jobs across this city, comparing it to the national averages from the CDC. The reason for that is what they've found is that when you find a job that has low or no use of paid time off, what you are likely finding is an example of a workplace that is holding potential repercussions for employees when they use that paid time off. And so that is an opportunity for accountability. And so this is going to be broad-based kind of information being shared as is happening right now, and then data-driven enforcement and accountability mechanisms so that it's not just up to your employer deciding whether or not something is justified, but rather it's up to it fitting within the guidelines of this legislation. Because when we're talking about taking care of a loved one who is a child or one with a disability or a natural disaster you're responding to, or any of these stipulations, you shouldn't have to both then go through it and then have to argue with someone that it is a real instance of that. And that is where city government should step in. It hasn't always. But now, with this DCWP and partners like Councilmember Nurse and the council, it makes that all the more possible. And I appreciate all of you for the organizing, because frankly, the more organized workers are, the more rights that are actually able to be exercised. Please. Yeah, please.
Sorry if I introduced myself earlier. My name is Kathleen Cole. I'm from IBC Local 1.
Amazing.
But I just want to say how huge this would be for so many workers, especially my Amazon workers, because I can't even begin to explain how arduous the process and meticulous the process is to take the needs to take care of families, to take care of yourself if you have experienced a natural disaster. And in many cases, workers wind up losing their jobs because of this, because the paperwork is just, it's crazy, you know, for lack of a better word. I mean, navigating it, and like I said, literally becomes a full-time job and causes so much emotional and mental stress on these folks. So they're not only dealing with, you know, child with a disability in the hospital, or, you know, parent that had a stroke, they're dealing with like running back and forth trying to make sure it's documentation, right? Oh wait, no, it's wrong, go back, oh wait, no. Now you've lost all this time, now you're caught again. You know, and it's inconvenient. So this, like I said, this would really be especially Amazon workers, but other workers in New York City that work in similar sectors are experience the same thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, yes, please.
Hello, my name is Jerome Sloss. I'm a driver at DBK1 in Woodside. And I guess one of the biggest issues for me is the lack of time that workers have to themselves. A few months ago, I was in the emergency room. I woke up in the middle of the night with blood on my thighs and heavy bleeding from my groin. Later on that night, doctors told me that it was most likely caused from stress and heavy lifting. The main thing is I had no time to cover that week that I was off from work. And I'm still dealing with the balancing act of paying bills from the hospital, was paying my bills, rent, utilities. So things like this help workers just have more time to recuperate, which I don't have. don't currently have, but it's not accruing fast enough for me to recover. So I'm thankful that people like that are representing us. And again, we get more time.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
Muy buenos días, señor alcalde. Muchas gracias por estar aquí. Escuchar a toda la gente trabajadora. La verdad sí necesitamos esas leyes porque hay mucha gente que tiene que ver por la familia.
Good morning. Thank you for being here with the working people in New York. In reality, we need this because we are all working with families.
La única diferencia es que a veces las compañías mezclan los días de enfermedad con los días personales de tiempo que tenemos en la compañía. Y eso es lo que queríamos, bueno, debe de aclararse, porque hay días que uno como chofer que andan todos los días en las calles con lluvia, frío, uno se enferma.
And so the thing is, at a lot of employers like Amazon, they'll combine the personal time off with paid sick leave. So there's not a clear definition of what time you're using. They just roll it all together. And so when you need it for, being out in the cold and getting sick while delivering packages, and then you need it because your child has a medical emergency, there's no distinction at Amazon.
Mira, con esa, uno se siente enfermo, llega uno a la estación y uno quiere pedir, quiero 3 días libres porque no me siento enfermo. Eso es lo que uno quisiera tener más libertad en poder pedir esos días de enfermedad.
For example, if you're sick and you need 3 days off, you should have the liberty to be able to take those days off without being questioned by your employer and pressured otherwise.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, please. Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm Matt. Thank you for your support. I'm excited about this because hopefully it is one piece among a growing slate of legislation that is building up the infrastructure we need to actually hold corporations like Amazon accountable. This is kind of about power, because at the end of the day, the issue isn't just we don't have enough time. The issue is time is at the discretion of our employer, of our managers.
Yeah.
So I'll tell a little story. Recently, there was a blizzard. Me and a bunch of my coworkers, we had to work through that blizzard. There was a day where it was negative 16 degrees wind chill. And I was sick since like mid-January. Most of the people I know have been sick since at one point since January. I had no sick time. So I went in, I worked 6 in the morning, negative 16 degrees. It was so cold that my car key, my van key, the battery froze. And the van was locked, so I literally could not get into my van. I called my manager, they're like, yeah, it's gonna kind of be a minute before we can get you support. So I'm out there for like 15 minutes, and I gotta improvise. So I use a hand warmer to warm up my van key because I had no manual key, and that actually resuscitated, and I was able to get back in the van. But the consequence of that is I've been coughing my lung out, the whole time today, and that's because of being exposed to the cold in days like that. That's one issue, being sick. The other issue is scheduling inconsistency, which again gets back to the discretionary issue. So, Ahmed and I, we're fasting for Ramadan. We can't, for example, if we ask our manager, can we get put on morning shifts because it will make it easier for us? They'll say that's up to Amazon. And they'll keep kicking it back and forth between each other. Even when we were trying to organize, when we had our blitz to go public with our union in December, we're trying to coordinate signing cards, we're trying to coordinate a march on the boss. Managers know that, or not managers, it's not managers, it's Amazon knows that. So they're switching people's schedules around so that we know people's usual schedules, and now all of a sudden they disappear and they pop up somewhere else. So it's like trying to organize in a pinball machine, Even when we tried to do the March on the Boss, we tried to coordinate getting a large group of people. It was extremely difficult. We had to make a chart where each person's potential schedule would be, and it could just disappear at any moment because the managers know that. So putting restrictions on discretionary changes in schedule and basically giving power back to the workers over our own schedule not only helps us take care of our lives, but it also is crucial to us being able to organize successfully. So I appreciate you guys for this, and I hope we keep rolling with more legislation like this.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Ramadan Kareem. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all so much. It's really been a pleasure, and I want to say thank you again to our council member for having us here and for pushing this legislation through. Because we know that in this city and in politics, having a good idea doesn't mean it's going to become law. You have to fight for it. The council member fought for it, but now we're going to be implementing it, and then we will continue to learn for how we can show up for workers in this city. Because I think, as you said, this city is built on the labor of working class people each and every day, and yet so many working class New Yorkers are being pushed out of this city. And we have to look at every way we can to protect New Yorkers and to ensure that they can afford to live a life in this city. I don't know if there's anything you'd want to add.
No, I want to just again thank you and thank DCWP and staff, but also just listening to all of you just reminds me of what we're here to do, right? This is what city government is supposed to be doing, and it really breaks my heart to hear these stories where you just can't do what you need to do to take care of the people who depend on you and the people that you deeply love. Like, that's not a city we should accept. And so I'm really grateful that we've been able to push this forward today, and I'm grateful for that study because I know there's a lot of workers out there who don't know they have support and don't have a voice. So thank you all.
Thank you. Please, yeah.
What I want to say that we are all witnessing here is a team and a family of people who are relentless and will not give up. We just want to make sure that the message is getting through, and peace and love to everybody. We have to stick together to make sure that we can accomplish what needs to be done.
Thank you. Yes, it is. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Look out there. Thank you so much, my brother. How do you get in touch with these days? I can't even get this myself. Keep doing the good work, though. We appreciate you. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Give us 1 second.
That's good. How you doing, boss? How you doing? I'm coming.
So I watched a video of you talking about the quality of life as an important thing during campaigning. So you, in the context of the announcement you just made, can you just explain to our readers why it's important and why it tails back to the fact that you've been campaigning on improving the quality of life?
You know, if you just listen to the workers that we had the privilege of sitting with, you hear stories of New Yorkers who are forced into impossible choices. A man who, the mother of his children has brain cancer, and he isn't able to get time from his job to be able to take care of his family. A father of 2 children with special needs who's fighting with his employer to try and get the time to take care of them. So many working class New Yorkers who are made to feel as if their only job is to labor. And what this legislation does is it expands what can be used for protected time off. It covers so many of the instances that we heard about today. And it also grants workers an additional 32 hours in unpaid time that they can start to use from the first day on the job and the first day of the calendar year. And the reason that's so critical is without that, workers are forced into the impossible choice of between their lives and their livelihoods.
Could you also talk a little bit more about the fact that organized workers are, better for the city, and you've always been, you supported the Amazon workers previously, last year and just a couple of months ago. So if we could get into that, that would be great.
Absolutely. I mean, look, we are in the wealthiest city in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, and it's also a city where 1 in 4 are living in poverty. And when we are asking ourselves how best to tackle income inequality, we know that increasing union density is the most effective tool. The more organized a workforce, the better the lives those workers will be able to live. And even to your first question of quality of life, this all comes back to ensuring that a worker can do more than just work, that a worker can also live, that a worker can also take care of their family and themselves. And this kind of legislation, it's critical to ensuring that that isn't just a dream, but it's a reality. and to meet here with Teamsters members who have been on the front lines of fighting for these very kinds of rights and so much more in the face of corporate impunity, it shows us the urgency of this task.
Amazon has been canceling contracts with DSPs that unionize. Is that something that the DCWP that's been, bringing in a lot of lawsuits, settlements in the last month, be looking at in the future?
DCWP is going to be looking at every which way that an employer is looking to evade accountability. And this is not just for the benefit of workers, it's also for the benefit of employers who are following the rules in our city and are asking themselves to what end, to what benefit, because they see competitors evading those same rules. It's time to have a rule of law that applies to everyone, and that includes these kinds of corporations that seem to think of themselves as above it.
And your comments on the Delivery Protection Act, the workers that were there today were recently in City Hall trying to campaign for it. And they feel like it'll bring them, it'll end the contractual model that Amazon operates on.
I think that kind of legislation, the spirit of that kind of legislation is exactly what we're talking about here, which is how do we actually stand up for workers, no matter what their workplace looks like, no matter where it is, no matter what the business model is, all of these workers deserve that dignity.
And a comment on expanding the budget of the DCWP. They've been looking for hiring 20 more workers. So is there any progress on that, or is that something that you'll be looking at a priority in the next few months?
DCWP continues to be one of the most important agencies within our city government in protecting not just workers, not just consumers, but also employers who are playing by the rules. And we've just released our preliminary budget. It is an active budget process that will continue through the end of June. And one of our focuses will always be how we can ensure that our city is doing as well as it can by the workers that keep it running.
And just one last thing, the protected time off law covers workplace violence. Does it also include injuries sustained in the active duty of work by these workers, or is that something that the team can look through the paperwork and confirm?
The team can get back to you on that. Yeah, okay. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good to see you. We should do an interview.
In what? Yeah.
That's okay.
They can get.
You're just going to stand right here. Handshake.
Here?
Oh, Mr. Mayor.
How are you? Walaikum salam. How are you?
Shukran. I'm great. Great. Thank you. I have to ask you, was this your idea to have an event with Amazon workers in a restaurant on Ramadan?
Yeah, well, I can tell you I didn't come up with the restaurant part. But with Amazon workers, these are workers who have been on the front lines of fighting for basic dignity on the job. And to be talking about legislation that's coming into full effect on Sunday, it makes such sense for us to be standing with the very New Yorkers who have been showcasing the urgent need for this kind of legislation.
Talk to us about how this fits your affordability agenda. How does it fit in?
So I think one of the key parts of our affordability agenda is how to make this a city where working people can afford to live. And what we heard just now from so many of these workers is they are faced with impossible choices between their lives and their livelihoods. They're faced between trying to keep their jobs and then trying to take care of their families. I heard from a father of 2 special needs children who told me that he was having to fight with his employer just to get time to take care of them. We heard from a man who the mother of his... exactly.
Brain cancer.
And she has brain cancer. They have 4 children together, and he can't get the time to take care of her or to take care of the kids. And this legislation specifically expands the use of paid time off to include taking care of a child, to include taking care of a loved one with disabilities, to include the kinds of things that workers are often asking themselves, what do I do when life happens? How do I keep my job and keep my life?
The fact that you cited those anecdotes says to me you really listened to what these people were saying.
Well, I think for too long, city government has overlooked the concerns of these kinds of New Yorkers. And then we ask ourselves why they're leaving this city. And we know in their stories, in their lives, these are the stories of people who, for far too long, have at best been footnotes in our policies and our politics. We want them to be at the heart of it.
When your people look into these companies and look at who's getting paid sick time and who isn't, what do you suspect the results will be?
I think what we're going to find is that there has been an uneven application of the law, because so often we know that when you create a new right or a new rule, its use depends on whether or not you're enforcing it, whether or not you're informing people of it. And one of the things I came in with today were the set of rules so that every worker knows what they're entitled to. Because what we found through DCWP's reports and from the national model is when you look at an employer and you see no use of paid time off from its workforce, you're looking at a workforce that has been told in either explicit or implicit terms that there will be repercussions if they're to use that time.
That's a red flag.
And that's a red flag. And that's where DCWP will then come in, investigate, and see whether that's the case. Because we have too many workers who are fearful of using the time that they've been allocated. We're talking about time for them to be able to take care of themselves, to be able to respond to emergencies. And you just heard these stories of Amazon drivers working in negative 16-degree wind chill.
Right.
Their car can't even start, the door can't even open. They're exposing themselves to the elements, and they have no protections. Yeah. This is about actually standing up for those workers.
Understood. I want to ask you two other off-topic questions, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
One is, how would you characterize your conversations with the governor in the last few days?
I think that the governor has shown time and again a commitment to the health and vitality of the city. And frankly, I've been encouraged by the relationship that we're building towards building this city for each and every New Yorker. We've seen the governor commit $1.5 billion towards resolving the state's fiscal deficit. And we know we have $5.4 billion left to be able to bring that deficit down to zero. We know it's a long budget process, and I'm still hopeful of where we end up.
And you still stand behind the two options that you have.
Yes.
You don't have a third option.
No, we don't. The city has very limited things it can do of its own power. The state has far more options in front of it. And so from the state, we're looking forward to working with them on a combination of things that include taxing the wealthiest New Yorkers who make more than $1 million a year by an additional 2% in their personal income taxes, and the most profitable corporations, the top tier of profitability, as well as what we call ending the drain. And what I mean by that is, for a long time, the city and the state have had a fiscal relationship where the state has extracted much from the city without being able to bring that back. And that's not a legacy of this governor. Frankly, it's a legacy of far before this governor. And so what we're seeing in this possibility, in this moment, is a chance to respond to a structural crisis with a structural solution.
One final question. Yeah. The Chakraborty family and the shooting, which obviously everyone agrees was tragic. Maybe shouldn't have happened, right? Have you had any discussions with the Queens DA with this, about this specifically?
You know, I haven't spoken directly to the district attorney. However, I have made clear that I believe that what Jabez deserves in this moment is mental health treatment, not criminal prosecution. And what we see time and time again is the importance of our city developing a mental health response, because what we've seen instead is we've started to allocate so many additional responsibilities to the police department that now the police department responds to 200,000 mental health calls a year. Right. And what we need is to develop a system that tasks mental health specialists with the mental health crisis. And that's at the focus of our pursuit of a Department of Community Safety.
They charged him.
Yeah.
And you said it shouldn't happen.
This is a man with schizophrenia. This is a man who is clearly going through a mental health crisis. And to respond to that with criminalization, it looks past the reality, which is that Jabez needs mental health treatment.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anything you want to add to that? Anything else you want people to know?
No, I think we've covered it. Thank you so much.
Always good seeing you,
Thank
sir.
you. Pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you, my friend.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Okay.